Every baby counts. Learn about the upcoming March of Dimes Walk America in your community. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Fox 43 studio. We're focused on the upcoming Lake City and Dillon Walk Americas to be held May 1st and May 15th. And we're visiting with Joe Fisher, the Community Director for the March of Dimes PD Division. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. It's great to be here.
Golly, thank you so much for coming in. It's so exciting. I think we're so close. This weekend is the Lake City Walk.
Yes, it is.
This past weekend, of course, you were orchestrating the Georgetown Walk, and we were actually over in Loris for the Loris Walk, which was so exciting. What beautiful weather.
Beautiful and great turnouts for both Walk Americas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's so amazing to see the volunteer spirit that's indicative with so many of the crowd who are interested in the March of Dimes, fighting premature births and working to save babies' lives together.
It's interesting. When in completing Georgetown County's Walk America and getting ready for Lake City and Dillon, this is my fourth time around with each of these communities. Mm-hmm. So I've had a chance to work with their leadership and the sponsors and teams and volunteers. And without a doubt, we don't have a person that's involved in the March of Dimes that doesn't love babies and want to help bring them into the world healthy.
Joe, and it's so exciting to see the range of ages involved, folks of all ages that are interested in really making the March of Dimes.
That's true. You'll have people at the walk that will have babies in strollers and wagons, and then you'll have them all the way up, all ages, and they all enjoy the activity. I think one of the reasons why is it is a casual walk. It's although some people will run, but they walk at their own pace, and we have police escorts with each one of them, and so people can run if they wish, and they can be the last one back if they wish.
Wow.
Because the cause is good, and it's a celebration when we get to the walk itself. It's a culmination of a lot of work, and people will say, when do you start a Walk America? You start it the day that you have the walk in 2004 to begin planning for the walk in 2005.
It's amazing to think, and y'all are expecting around 200 walkers at this Saturday's walk. The Lake
we
City
traditionally have between 175 to 200 in a community that only has 6,500 people, so we have a great turnout in Lake City. It's a fine community.
Joe, before we focus on those two walks as well as this past weekend's Georgetown Walk, can we talk a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely.
Are you originally from the area?
No, my husband and I are both native Texans, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas, and my husband is from a small community out in West Texas called Pecos.
What brought y'all to Horry County?
Well, we just keep moving around, Greg. My husband and I have both been in the hospitality business for many years and have lived in Dallas, Kansas City, Indianapolis. We lived in Myrtle Beach back in 1987, 8, and 9. Went to Savannah for a couple of years, then up to Niagara Falls, New York, and then 5.5 years ago decided to relocate to Myrtle Beach. We have a daughter in Sumter, and at the time our son was stationed at Fort Bragg, so it put us between children.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Where is the son who is at Fort Bragg now?
He's moved on from Fort Bragg to Fort Polk for a couple of years, and he's currently in school to become a licensed practical nurse in the Army. And he's stationed now in my hometown of San Antonio at Fort Sam Houston.
Oh, that must be
great.
Thrilling.
It's just great.
Yeah. Do you still have family in the San Antonio
I
area?
do. In fact, we visited about a month ago, and I can truthfully tell you can go back home again. It was great to go back and see family and friends, and, of course, visit our son and his family.
San Antonio is a spectacular city.
Yes, it is. It's great. We went down to the Riverwalk. We were very good tourists while we were there. And interestingly enough, our son is going through some clinicals, and he's working in a neonatal intensive care unit.
Oh.
So he's seeing firsthand why the March of Dimes is so important.
And so much a part of you and Sterling's life. The commitment, Colleen Shanley was with us last Wednesday, I think, Joe, and to hear her talk about so many of the volunteers, not to single any of them out, but your husband Sterling has been such a crackerjack supporter of
It's
you and the
interesting.
March of
Yeah.
Dimes?
We've done together, when we do Lake City's walk this week, he and I will have done 17 Walk Americas together.
Come on.
And I can tell you, Greg, there are people in the communities when we go out to get the pizzas and hamburgers for our walkers who don't know who I am, but
Right.
they know who he is.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
say, is your husband going to come and pick up the pizza this Saturday? And I'll go, yes, he is. And so, but Sterling loves babies too and cares. We are fortunate to have 2 healthy children and 4 healthy grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
So it's personal to us.
Well, oftentimes, there is some impact, a personal, a motivating factor that'll prompt someone to get active.
Absolutely.
As we were at the Loris Walk this weekend, we heard some of the folks, some of the parents of the ambassador babies that had had such a touching impact, obviously, by their child, either being born prematurely or born with some type of birth defect that prompted them to get active and get really active with the March of Dimes.
Absolutely. I think that's been, in my opinion, the most rewarding part of working for the March of Dimes for me personally are the ambassador families. Their stories are all different. Many certainly born prematurely, many with life-threatening illnesses. And in the 4 years that I've been with the March of Dimes, we've lost 1 ambassador baby. But we don't want to lose any of them. And it's great to follow their lives and see what's happening to them each year. And we invite them back every year to come back to the walk and bring our teams and volunteers up to date on where the child is, because 3 years later we've gone from a baby to a toddler, and it's great for people to be able to see them and see how well they're doing.
Oh, yeah, Joe, I think I saw the national spokesman now for Walk America
right.
is a South Carolinian.
She's Amanda Reeves from Greenville, South Carolina, a baby that was born at 1 pound and 6 ounces. Now just think about how small she was. And she's thriving today and was selected as the national ambassador for the March of Dimes. So she's been traveling all over the United States telling their story and how proud we are that she's from South Carolina.
Absolutely. Joe, can you share with the viewers, I know you did this last time when we were up in Marion at Marion Regional Medical Center,
Right.
focused on the Marlboro and Marion walks back in October. But can you share with the viewers a little bit again about the history of the March of Dimes and
Absolutely.
how they kicked off the walk and whenever they did?
Well, of course, the March of Dimes was founded in 1938 by President Roosevelt to find a cure for polio. And we got our name from Eddie Cantor, who was an entertainer. And he went on the radio and he asked the American public to send their dimes to Washington, D.C. And they coined the phrase March of Dimes. By the way, out of that campaign, 10 million dimes were sent to Washington, D.C. When Jonas Salk came along in 1955 and found the Salk vaccine, the March of Dimes changed its focus to babies. And there wasn't an organization dedicated to saving babies and to helping prevent birth defects and infant mortality. In 1970, Walk America was born. It's the first walk in the United States of America. It's the oldest. Over 1,100 communities are out walking for babies, and so Walk America is 34 years of age.
Wow.
In Lake City, we've been walking for 8 years, and in Dillon, we've been walking for 8 years. Those walks started 8 years ago.
And the excitement, of course, and I hate to go back to the Horry County Walk, which had
Wow.
just such an amazing thing. I think Colleen said last year the total was $112,000. This year the goal was $154,000, and of course at Bank Day or at the day of the walk, y'all were able to announce $186,000 with the
Yes.
expectation that you may even get to $200,000.
That is absolutely phenomenal. Wow. You just can only pinch yourself and say, is this real?
Yeah.
Really happening? But what a testament to the Horry County community and Dennis Wade, who stepped up to lead it this year, and all of the sponsors and all of the teams. And, you know, there's no such thing as a small team. It all began with dimes. So you have people that can give large amounts of money, but you also have children who will walk up and give you $1. It all counts. And in the final analysis, that was a great event. And while certainly Lake City and Dillon are on a smaller scale, they don't have any less enthusiasm, and we will have a very good time in both of these little communities.
Of course, the most exciting aspect of a donation or of a contribution is not knowing what dollar will push that amount over so that a researcher stays a little later in the lab, so that they may make one different thought motivation to come up to a solution or a resolution for finding a...
Absolutely. We try to share, too, with our teams that should we fall short of goal, it could be that that would be a shot of surfactant to help a baby in a neonatal intensive care unit, or a doctor being able to learn something that would help a baby live a day longer. So, you know, you're always looking for ways to motivate your people out there and to make it personal to them. That's the reason your leadership is so important, because our offices are in Conway. I don't live in Lake City, and I don't live in Dillon County, although I travel to both of them frequently. But the folks that are there day in and day out who see each other and share stories, that's the success of a program in both of these communities. And we have great leaders in both Lake City and in Dillon County. Have a new leader in Dillon County. Our new Walk America chair in Dillon County is Coach Jackie Hayes, who is the head football coach and athletic director at Dillon High School and a legislator in South Carolina. And he agreed to take it on, and he's done a great job for us.
I've heard that. You know, one of the other great things, before we segue into those two walks, Joe, I want to whether it was in Loris this past weekend or or in Georgetown this upcoming weekend in Lake City, there was a day, the bank day. In Loris, it was NBSC, whatever community it is, whatever that bank is, there are those volunteers within the bank that will take bags of coins, and they will make the calculation for you. So when you talked about a child bringing $1 in, there is the aspect of, you don't want to take the time to necessarily count them all, but you just bring in your coins, bring in whatever you've got. Bring in whatever
you have. I'm reminded about the widow's mite that she gave her all, and we certainly have children. We encourage schools in particular to do change days, and many have done that. And we give them popcorn buckets and Ziploc bags and have young people bring in their change. It certainly levels the playing field, because that way people can give whatever they can. And then in a school, whatever class gives the most money, a community will give them a pizza party. And they did this in Loris, and it turns out to be very successful. And children are very competitive, particularly when they get towards the end of a campaign. And it's easy to go home and tell Mom and Dad, I need your loose change because we're taking it to school tomorrow for the March of Dimes.
That's a great point.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's going to be happening for this Saturday's walk in Lake City, as well as the May 15 walk there in Dillon.
Yes. We have a lot of schools, and we need to know that schools are our future business leaders.
Schools are our future business leaders. That's exactly right. We'll be talking more about that tomorrow. What other fundraising events are the March of Dimes putting on during the year?
Well, we do now 5 Walk Americas in the spring. We do Horry County, Loris, Georgetown County, Lake City, and Dillon. And then in the fall, we do a motorcycle ride, and it's called Ride for Babies, which will take place October the 17th. We've established that date in 2004. We'll do a chef's auction in the fall. We'll do a real estate breakfast in the fall. And then we will do Marion County's Walk America, which is going to be October the 23rd. And we'll do Marlboro County's Walk America, which will be October the 30th. So 5 walks in the fall, in the spring, 2 walks in the fall, and 3 events in the fall. So we stay busy year-round.
Y'all do, Joe. I know. It's amazing. How are the teams organized, whether it's for this Saturday's Lake City Walk or, again, the Dillon Walk or any of the walks? How are the teams organized, and are corporate sponsorships actively involved with the with putting on the event?
Absolutely. Our leadership, we have a Walk America chair and a revenue development chair in each of our communities. And our revenue development chair goes out and helps us recruit corporate sponsorships. Those are the folks that step up to the plate year after year, and we try to add additional ones from year to year. Our Walk America chair helps us develop teams, and we start generally with a core of teams, and then we go out to find new teams. Teams help us find new teams. Individuals help us find new teams. There's a misconception sometimes that a team has to have at least 20 or 25 people on it in order to sign up for the March of Dimes. I'm happy to tell you that in Lake City, our team from Walmart consists of 3 people. They raise over $3,000 every year. So it's just, a team can be a team of 1, team of 3, team of 50. But teams help us get other teams. We've started generally very small in these communities. We only had 4 or 5 teams, but now in both of these communities we have over 20 teams raising money for the March of Dimes.
Wow.
That's right.
It's amazing to think a team as small as 3 could raise as much as $3,000, the Walmart team there in Lake City.
They do it every year. In fact, one of the ladies there tends to be our #1 individual fundraiser in that community. And one of the nice things we've done, Greg, is the top individual fundraiser in Lake City and in Dillon will win a 3-day, 2-night trip to Myrtle Beach.
Oh.
It's a great incentive for you to want to raise money because everyone loves to come to the beach.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Joe, has the community been active? Has the let's say the political body or otherwise, the community there in Lake City and the upcoming walk in Dillon, do they get active in Walk America?
They do. We've actually cultivated that in both of the communities. We have the City of Lake City, the Lake City Police Department, the Lake City Fire Department. They all have teams. As well as in Dillon, the first few years we were there, the mayor of Dillon was our honorary chair. And so the communities know that the March of Dimes is important. They also help us in soliciting some of our corporate sponsors because they know the communities better in terms of what the politics are in a community.
Joe, we got about 10 minutes. Can you share with the viewers a little bit about the ambassador babies in that program? Are there ambassador babies in this weekend's Lake City as well as the upcoming Dillon Walk?
Yes, in fact, I'm thrilled to tell you about both of them. The ambassador baby in Lake City is Tatum Quinn Cox. It's a little girl. She was born weighing just over 3 pounds. But she started off doing very well, and then they found out she had a heart defect. And she had to be medevaced to MUSC. She underwent 2 surgeries. It was touch and go for a while. She was in a neonatal intensive care unit for 7 weeks. She survived, and she's doing very, very well today. And I know that her parents, Danielle and Chad Cox, are thrilled that the March of Dimes helps fund life-saving research, doctors, nurses, neonatal intensive care units. She will be at the walk in Lake City, and she will lead the walk in Lake City. In Dillon County, we have a set of little boys, Malik and Jay Edwards. Malik is now 5, but when he was born, he weighed 1 pound and 15 ounces. And he was sent to Florence's McLeod, where he went into a neonatal intensive care unit, and he did very well. He doesn't have any problems at all today. 2 years later, she had a second little boy, Jay Edwards. She never thought she'd have another premature baby. Jay came in at 1 pound and 13 ounces. 2 babies, 2 years apart, under 2 pounds. Jay was in a neonatal intensive care unit. He was only there for 4 weeks. He survived. He's doing very well. He's 3 today. Great little fellas. They were at our kickoff, all dressed in little camouflage outfits, and the mother went to school at Dillon High School, and they will be at our walk in Dillon County on May 15th, and they will lead the way. Last year in Dillon County, we had a set of twins, Lauren and Anna Kay Webster, both born weighing under 2 pounds, both doing very well today. So we have great ambassador families, and the nice thing about that is that's their hometown child, ambassador child. And every time we do a kickoff or go over and do an internal kickoff, those babies go. And I don't get up to tell the story. They get up to tell the story. And it's very touching, Greg, particularly if you get a dad. And many of the dads will get up to talk about what the March of Dimes has done. And it becomes an emotional thing for them when they begin to speak. I say let your feelings show, because that's what the March of Dimes is all about, saving babies together.
Golly, Joe, that's powerful, thinking whether it's a mother or a father, or just the impact that it has on all the volunteers to get out there and continue raising. It's so important to have an ambassador baby there. Glad you all have been able to do that. In the next 5 minutes, can we just talk about some of the particulars of the day of the Lake City Walk? What time do walkers need to be there? Can folks sign up as late as today?
Actually, they can actually sign up at the walk if they don't have a walker envelope, but certainly they can call our office at 488-3463, and we're happy to send them information. Lake City's walk is scheduled for Saturday, May 1st at Lions Park. Registration is at 9:30. We will begin the walk at 10 a.m. It's a 3-mile walk, and when we come back, we're going to have an extraordinarily wonderful family fun party at Lions Park. Dillon County's Walk America is scheduled for Saturday, May 15th. Registration is at 9:30. The walk starts at 10. We register in the gymnasium at Dillon High School. And again, we walk about 3 miles out in the community. That happens to be the day that the Harley weekend is over in Myrtle Beach. So when we're out walking, we can hear all the Harleys coming through Dillon on their way to south of the border, which happens to be a sponsor of the March of Dimes. And we come back and have a great party there. Interestingly enough, we've not been rained out, cross your fingers, in the 4 years that I've been working on Walk Americas. But last year in Dillon, just as the walkers came in, we had the liquid sunshine come down, but we got the walk in before it began to rain.
How exciting,
Yes.
Joe. So both the events, the Lake City Walk kicking off this Saturday at the registration at 9:30 and
We
the
start
walk
the
kicking
walk
off
at
at
10.
10. And the
We
same.
try to start right on time. You find that if you do that, people like that. And by noon, we're through.
Sure.
And people can go on to shop and go to the grocery store, go to the movies, or whatever they do in the afternoon.
Joe, how are these funds being utilized, either in our region or where do the funds go that are being raised in the Walk Americas?
Well, of course, our monies flow into our state office in Columbia, South Carolina, and the state raises over $3 million a year. And out of that, they take $1 million of it and put it back into grants throughout the entire state of South Carolina, so they impact everyone throughout the state. The balance of those monies go to our corporate office in New York, and those are used for research, advocacy, community service, and education. We need to educate mothers on taking care of themselves so that they have healthy babies, and we certainly need to do more research on premature birth. 1 in 8 babies born prematurely, up 27% from 10 years ago. And it's happening to all ages and women of all ethnic backgrounds, and a premature baby will cost 10 times what a normal birth would in terms of the cost for that baby and for it to survive.
And not only the 10 times early on, but then the amazing magnitude of funds that will be spent over the course of the life of that child.
Absolutely. If we could have every baby born healthy, we might be able to solve a lot of the other health problems involved as all of us grow up.
Joe, when you think about the impact for you, and part of the excitement there is knowing that in South Carolina, 91 cents of every dollar is being reinvested into either research or advocacy or education throughout the community, much higher than, and obviously we
Than
hear
most
about so many
charities.
nonprofits. And
Absolutely, and not only that, to know that we do have a grant program that organizations from throughout the entire state can apply for, and it can come back to the DHECs and the AME churches and to Greenville Hospital, and I mean, it's a long list. We have a brochure on that, and that's good to know because it means communities can get some of that for their respective organizations to help poor families, and babies deserve a chance. They don't get to vote on when they come in the world. They don't get to vote who their parents are. They don't get to vote on whether they're going to come early or have a birth defect. They just come into the world and make it a better place.
That's exactly right, Joe. You think about, I know you talked about you and Sterling's desire to help babies and work to fight any level of premature birth or birth defect at all. Any motivating factors, personal factors within y'all's life?
I didn't know it, Greg, at the time, but when I interviewed for the job and accepted it, and I found out our youngest grandson was born with cleft lip. And I found out that the doctors who pioneered the surgery to correct this received their grants from the March of Dimes. I didn't know the March of Dimes had touched my life in that way, but Zachary's had a couple of surgeries. He looks wonderful. He will have to have some additional surgery when he's like 11 or 12. But that is a wonderful thing to see a baby that I thought looked great but looks better now due to the surgeries that he's had to correct this lip of his. So I'm grateful for the March of Dimes, and I'm grateful for the doctors who learned how to do this, because it not only helps Zachary, but thousands and thousands and thousands of babies who are born with this type of birth defect.
I know about that. That's right. Lastly, Joe, you and Sterling will be at both the walks on the 1st and the 15th.
And with smiles on our faces and joy in our heart that we've had a chance to be back in Lake City again and back in Dillon County again.
If a viewer can't be with you on the 1st or the 15th, is there still a way they can make an impact on this year's Walk to America in Lake City and Dillon?
Absolutely. They can either go online to www.marchofdimes.com and they can donate online. They can call our office at 488-3463, or certainly mail a check made payable to the March of Dimes to 314 Laurel Street, Suite 201, Conway, South Carolina, 29526. I also want to say if anyone needs us to come out and speak to their organization about the March of Dimes, we're happy to do that as well, Colleen and I.
Great. Joe, thanks so much for being with us
Pleasure to be
this
here.
morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Joe Fisher coming up next. If you couldn't be at the Loris or Georgetown walks this past Saturday, you still have time to get out to the Lake City walk this Saturday. Follow Tatum Quinn Cox as he gets ready to kick it off. Registration's at 9:30. The walk starts at 10. Or you can get over to Dillon on May 15th. Same time. Registration 9:30. The walk's at 10. It'll be such a big day. Get out there and support Malik and Jay Edwards as they kick off the walk. Every baby counts. Let's work together to save babies.